So, hi everyone. Today we're delighted to have Fiza Nawaz, an experienced and passionate nutrition expert. So, welcome, Fiza. So, giving a small introduction to Fiza, her journey in nutrition began during her college years at St. Lucia's College, where she did her bachelor's in home science and followed with a master's in food and nutrition. So she's also a certified diabetic educator, and also she holds a diploma in wellness coaching. And her hands-on experiences include training at VPS Lakeshore Hospitals, so where she dealt with various medical conditions. So she has also worked with renowned companies like Healthify Me and Gokil Technologies, where she helped a lot of people lead healthier dietary practices. And currently, she's working as a senior nutritionist at Curiosity Health Tech, and she has also conducted workshops on healthy diet, body composition, and diet counseling in schools, colleges, and various companies. So we are really excited to learn from her expertise today. So in today's session, we'll be discussing the common challenges faced by busy working parents in maintaining a healthy diet for themselves and their children. So Fiza, what do you think are the common challenges busy working parents face in choosing a healthy diet for themselves and their children?
So, busy working parents face several challenges. So, when they're trying to, balance out their professional and personal lives, they face a number of challenges. So, I'll just give a few challenges where I feel. Number one, most important is time constraints. So, we often feel that, parents often feel that there's no time to, balance out work, cooking meals at home, and, taking care of the kids. That's one major concern. Time constraint is a very major concern. Next will be exhaustion. So after a long work day, generally people are really tired, which makes them unable to sit and prepare healthy meals from scratch, and to avoid any kind of processed foods. This often leads to reliance on processed, ready-to-eat foods because they are really tired to sit and prepare. One more major concern is the picky eating habits of children. So when the children are picky eaters and they don't eat what is prepared, it adds an additional stress to the mothers or the parents on preparing additional foods, or tweaking the foods around for these picky eaters to eat. One more major concern is social marketing or advertisement. So these foods, ready to eat convenience foods, are marketed abundantly, so it makes it very easily available. Also, the parents and children tend to take it easily, okay, as compared to home cooked meals. Last but not the least is stress, as we all know. So the mothers or the parents are definitely stressed because they are managing so many different things. This will in turn lead to them taking in these comfort foods, which are generally high in sugar, fat, okay, and there will be some convenience foods which may not be always healthy.
So you had mentioned about stress in working parents, right? So in your experience, how do you think stress has impacted the dietary practices of parents as well as their children?
Yeah, so definitely stress is one major factor that really impacts the eating habits of both parents and children. Okay, so let's discuss the parents first. Yeah, so again, so this time pressure, when they are running short of time, they end up resorting to these kind of convenience foods. Next is also reduced willpower. So when they are tired after the entire day, their willingness, though they really want to resort to healthier foods, their willingness or that willpower will totally reduce because they are so stressed and there's no time at all. So, and also it leads to a less mindful eating as well, because they are so stressed at the end of the day. So the stress plays a very major impact on their food choices as well. Then one more thing is, cognitive overload. So these parents who are, working the entire day, maybe 9 to 6, they are making so many decisions throughout the day that by the end of the day, they are really tired and exhausted to make any further decisions on, what choice, what nutritious choice they can give their kids. They end up resorting to, whatever the kid wants, which will be something maybe advertised on TV or what the peer is eating. So that's one more very major thing that will affect that stress affects the choices of the parents. So also one more thing is, when the parents are under stress, they tend to neglect themselves, and they prioritize more on their work. First is their work. Second comes, maybe they come back home and they're prioritizing the work, homework, the housework, household chores, and also maybe the kids' food, and wherein their own health is totally neglected, wherein maybe they are not eating anything much at all, which will indirectly affect their parenting behavior, overall outcome in life. All that will indirectly result in the child's behavior or how the child is reacting. Also the child's eating choices, the dietary choices that he makes. So that's another very important factor. Okay.
So I think children mostly they try to copy what parents do, right?
Yes, that's
So
another thing. Children definitely mimic their parents'
parents,
behavior.
right?
So if you see your mother eating healthy foods, eating healthy salads, even you feel like doing the same.
Right,
But if you're going to be snacking on chips, then even the kid is going to be doing the same thing. So definitely setting a role model is very, very important. So we discussed many of the effects of stress on parents.
right.
Now for children also, like we have already mentioned, it has a major impact on children's life and children's dietary choices. So again here, now the children end up resorting to comfort foods. So if they are stressed and they're seeing a very stressed household, they also will end up resorting to foods that will make them feel better, which is generally high sugar beverages or high fat foods. Also, when they are sitting in a stressful environment, the parents are unable to monitor the kids, and the kids will end up having an increased screen time. So this increased screen time will, will reduce mindful eating, mindless snacking will come in. So again, that will be more calories, and more unnecessary things will go into their bodies because they don't even know what they're consuming during this increased screen time. And also, increased screen time will lead to more pressure from marketing and advertising. So we see the products that are marketed are all processed foods. Okay, never a home cooked meal is advertised. It's always these processed, easy to eat meals that are processed that are advertised. So the child will end up, choosing those foods over home cooked meals, which might seem boring as compared to those meals.
Yeah, so they get influenced by what they see.
Yes, yes, definitely, definitely.
All right. So you had mentioned about easy availability of processed foods and snacks, right? So how far do you think that has impacted the busy lifestyle of working parents and their dietary choices?
Right. So processed foods have positive impacts and also negative impacts. So positive impacts, as we all know, it's time saving. They're very convenient. Okay, many of us resort to them. I also resort to them because it's very easy, very convenient. Just take off from a pack, maybe add hot water, or just mix into something. It's very, very easy and convenient to use, and also they have a longer shelf life. So it will save trips to supermarket every now and then, or getting it every now and then. If you buy fresh fruits, vegetables, it will get spoiled very fast. So these kind of foods that come in a packet, they don't get spoiled so fast. So there's longer shelf life that might be an advantage. But though there are some positive impacts, there are also a lot of negative impacts to these foods. Number one would be lower nutritional content. So most of these foods, as many of us would be aware, they are very high in fat, very high in sugar, salt. So all these nutrients are very high in these foods, and they are very low of antioxidants, of the nutrients that we really require. So antioxidants, many minerals, vitamins are all very low in these kind of foods. That's one. Okay. Also, because of this impact, or because of this nutritional content of these foods, they end up resulting in a lot of metabolic disorders like obesity, diabetes. Okay, so maybe right now, not right now, but in the long run for the kids, it does give a negative impact on their overall health. Also, heavy reliance on these kind of foods will result in a disrupted eating pattern. So these kind of foods, generally kids end up snacking on them very often. So the snack time is disrupted, meal times are disrupted because they're heavily snacking. They don't eat the next meal properly, which is normally generally do eat. So all that, the entire eating pattern is disrupted because of these convenient snacks or easy to eat snacks that they keep snacking on. Also, one more very, very important factor is the cost. So many of these foods sometimes are affordable, but most of them are a little on the expensive side. So maybe once in a while it's okay, but when it's happening on a regular basis, it will really put a strain on the family budget.
Right.
Um, so that's one more important thing. That's a cost. Last thing, one more very, very important thing is taste preferences. So these foods are generally higher in salt and sugar content. So the kids get used to eating these kind of foods. So they find regular home cooked meals or regular normal fruits, vegetables, and general meals very boring to eat because their taste buds are very adapted to those kind of, exciting flavors.
Yeah. So how do you think parents can reduce this reliance on processed foods?
So one very easy way to do this is by keeping healthy foods available at home. So rather than keeping unhealthy foods around the house like mixture, chips, that's what we generally do. That's what generally, maybe in a joint family also, that's what's available. Mixture is available, chips are available. So when the kid is hungry, they end up eating these kind of unhealthy foods. But if you're going to be keeping more healthier snacks available at home, they will automatically, tend to take up these snacks when they are hungry rather than those unhealthy foods.
Okay, so Fisa, my next question is, are there any specific nutrients or food groups that parents should prioritize in the child's development during their busy lifestyle?
Yeah, definitely. So it's always good to prioritize on a balanced meals. On balanced meals. So special. I'll just give a few food groups and a few nutrients that are very specific for a child's growth. Number one would be protein. So protein is very important for muscle growth, tissue repair, for growth and development of every part of the body. Okay, so kids at this age of childhood is a phase where the body is growing, the every cell of the body is repairing. So for this repair process to happen properly, we need good amount of protein. So protein will come from foods like all your non-veg foods, egg. So egg is one non-veg, very important, very easily available and very easily introducible to the kid. So having eggs, then all dairy products, milk, cheese, paneer, all these things are all protein rich and very important for the kids' cognitive development and overall physical growth and mental well-being as well. So protein is very important. Apart from that, even healthy fats. So healthy fats like what's present in olive oil, avocados, nuts, okay, seeds. All these are healthy fats which are very important for especially their brain growth and development. So it's very important that kids have these healthy fats in their diet, and it's important that we make these available to them in easy options that they are able to have. So that's then also other minerals and vitamins like specific, they all are very important, but a few specific ones are like calcium. So calcium is extremely important because this is the age, like up to the age of around 25, the bones are actually growing and we're actually depositing like a bank deposit. So the more calcium the kid eats, we are making the bone stronger, we are depositing the calcium in their bone. After a certain age, the bones stop growing. So there's no point on having extra calcium. It's just going to be, excreted from the body, or just the particular usage will be done. So calcium is present in all milk and milk products. Okay, it's very important that the kids are having these calcium-rich foods so that their bones develop well. Okay, they are less susceptible to fractures later in their life. Okay, even fractures in childhood is also common nowadays. So to avoid that, calcium in their diet is extremely important. Calcium comes along with vitamin D. Vitamin D is something that works along with calcium to help develop the bones. So it's important that we check the kids' vitamin D levels and maybe give a supplement, or just general things like making them play outside for a while, because sunshine is the main source of vitamin D. This is again very important. Another mineral of very good importance is iron. So actually this month the focus area is anemia, that is deficiency of iron, because iron is one mineral that really affects the cognitive development of kids. There are studies to show that low iron will even lead to attention deficit in kids. So kids who have low iron levels are more likely to develop ADHD. So it's very important for increasing concentration, increasing their performance in school. So iron is a very important mineral which is present in all red meats, egg yolk. So nowadays we feel that the kid is too heavy, so let's only give them egg white. That's a knowledge that's available all over the internet. But egg yolk is also very important because this is the source of iron in egg. Egg white only has protein. The egg yolk is what has a lot of minerals and vitamins, and especially iron. So iron is again another very important mineral. Apart from this, hydration is extremely important. So generally when the parents are busy, kids are also very busy, half the day they're in school, then maybe tuitions after that, we often tend to forget drinking water. We ourselves, the working parents ourselves, and also the kids, water is given a least preference. So hydration is again very important for the processes to go on in the body smoothly. Okay, for ways to move out of the body, so that we are avoiding constipation. Any other process in the body will need hydration and adequate amount of water intake. It can be even in the form of fruit juices. So for kids, even fruit juices are good. So hydration should be another very vital component. Apart from this, there are also two more food groups that are very important for sustained energy levels and good health. Number one would be fruits and vegetables. This is a very important, should be a very important part of the child's diet, because it provides a number of minerals, vitamins, antioxidants, also fiber. So these things, especially antioxidants, you don't get with processed foods. So we definitely need to prepare these fruits and vegetables in ways that the kid would have it, in whichever way they would like it. Maybe if they like a smoothie, maybe make a smoothie, or maybe a cut in a very colorful way with different shapes. So kids might like it that way. Okay, so rather than giving a very old, boring style, you can make different ways wherein they can have these fruits and vegetables. Then also one more important food group is whole grains. So generally we tend to, most of the convenient foods are made up of maida or refined flour. So it's very important that we emphasize on whole grains for kids. This will give sustained energy and provide more amount of fiber. So fiber is very important for overall gut health. Now gut health is very much linked to your brain health as well. So that's something of increasing relevance of this in these days. So giving importance to gut-friendly foods will help you in cognitive development and give you a healthy and happy mind as well.
So my next question is, how do you think parents can stay consistent in their healthy eating habits when they're constantly juggling with their family and work responsibilities?
Parents can actually adopt a number of measures so that their meal prep is on track and they're able to keep healthy choices. So instead of keeping the last minute that when you come back from work at 6 o'clock and then decide what has to be made, prep it in advance maybe over the weekend and see and keep ready some extent on what has to be prepared. At least plan and keep what has to be prepared that particular day or what's for dinner that particular day. Also making grocery lists and keeping. Okay, so that will avoid impulsive buying. So rather than just going in a supermarket and just okay, just see and then buy, rather than if you can have a list in hand that I need only so things, you will only go and buy those particular things. So impulsive shopping is one very dangerous thing that generally we resort to doing. We end up buying whatever is being shown on the shelves or whatever is shown on the advertisements or whatever is on offer. Okay, so having a grocery list in hand really helps. Another tip is to meal prep in advance. So maybe things like chopping, cutting, okay, cleaning the non-veg, or steaming. You can easily do many of these things in advance over the weekend and store it. You can even freeze it. Okay, so then very easily you can just take up one portion and do the last whatever preparation is required. So meal prepping in advance is very important. So another very important point here is batch cooking. So what you can do is that working mothers, they can cook in larger batches, like casseroles, soups, okay, and keep it in batches in the freezer or in the fridge. So you can just take up one portion, heat, warm up, and have it. Boil it well and have it. So that is another very good option that working parents can do to keep healthy snacks or healthy meals available for the family members and the kids. And the very simple thing is use very simple recipes. Don't complicate things. You don't have to make very complicated recipes. Very simple recipes like just stir fried. Simple things like this you try to keep and don't keep too many things, too many complicated recipes that will add to your stress in preparing the meal and finally you'll end up just avoiding it completely. So rather, if you keep it simple, it will motivate you also to get that done quickly or maybe delegate it to somebody who can do it very easily. Another very good way on keeping healthy food and also getting the kids to eat the food is to involve them in the meal prep. So let them do simple things like maybe chopping or simple cooking, whatever age appropriate for the kids. So when they are making, they are involved in the prep themselves, it will really motivate them to have that food as well. So it's very effective, very good for picky eaters especially. Also, utilizing technology in the right way. Okay, is also very important. So nowadays we have technology which can be misused and which also can be used in a very good way. Can be a big blessing for us. Things like a grocery list making apps, okay, or even simple recipes that you can get. Then apps that you can get online shopping done. Okay, which can get food at your ingredients at your doorstep just in minutes. One more thing, hydration, like I already mentioned before, it's very important that this is again kept a priority. And by keeping reusable bottles in the house and always filled up with water, it will help every family member and even the kids to keep sipping on water. So one way where we can promote hydration amongst the family is to do this. Okay, so one more thing, last thing will be, keep it balanced, but don't aim too much for perfection. So that's when we all run short, when we aim for perfection, sometimes we are not able to be perfect, especially in a joint family setup or multiple reasons, we are not able to be perfect. So aim for an 80-20 rule, where in 80% of the time you are aiming for healthy snacks, home cooked meals, but you're giving a little leeway for, some quick fixes when life gets really busy and you really have to do it. It's no problem. So be flexible. Try your best to keep up with whatever time and resources you have and keep yourself and the kids as healthy as possible with healthy choices.
So it's like we have systematic points, but at times it needs to be flexible
Yes,
enough,
for sure,
right?
for sure.
So you had mentioned about picky eaters, right? So are there any more tips you can give on how parents can handle picky eaters during their busy work schedules?
Yeah, definitely. So picky eating is a very major challenge that most of us will face. With parents of younger kids will face.
Right.
The kids don't eat what is prepared at home, and special needs to need to be prepared. So there are many things that you can do to introduce these foods. So one of the things, maybe do it one bite at a time. So encourage the kids not to have the entire meal. Maybe something they don't like, just have one bite. They only have one bite. So that makes them more likely to try. And maybe this can be consistently done over a few days. So then they'll end up liking the food. So that's one very important way that we can, introduce foods to these picky eaters. Also, like I already mentioned before, meal prep. So involve them in the meal prep. So when they are prepping the food with you, or maybe they're chopping, or maybe anything small they're doing, okay, it will make them more likely to have that food. Okay, so that's one very, 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 very nice way, very practical way of helping, letting them eat a variety of foods. Also, try not to be a short order cook. Like, when they say on the table that I don't like this, don't quickly go and prepare anything else for them. That will increase the stress on you also. Try to, make that particular food in some way where they can eat it. Okay, like maybe merging some familiar flavors. So during preparation itself, you can merge familiar things with the food. Like if they don't like one particular vegetable, but you know that they like this particular seasoning or a sauce, so you can put that vegetable and blend it in a very unknown way in that. Kids don't see it, and they will end up taking it because they like the flavor that it is in. But unknowingly, they know that the food, that the food that they don't like also is there, like maybe a vegetable that they might not like. So if you puree and put it with some sauce, something that they like, then they might not even know that that vegetable is actually there, and it's unknowingly going in. That's another way of introducing these foods to these picky eaters. Also, you can make boring meals very fun to eat. Actually, like use these different shapes of cookie cutters to cut sandwiches, cut vegetables in different shapes. So they like it and they like the look of it. So they'll make them eat those foods. Okay. Also, try to be patient and create a very relaxed environment. So don't put a lot of stress on them. Eat, eat, eat. So when that happens when we are stressed ourselves, we end up, putting the stress onto the kids and everybody else in the family. So that ends up the kids will completely say, no, I will not do it. So when you are relaxed, the kids are also relaxed. Be patient and create a very relaxed environment. This will make those kids to try out the new foods, and the meal time will become more fun rather than a very stressful one. Also, last would be set a good example. So, like I already mentioned before, when the kids see you eating healthy foods in a very calm and relaxed way without the screen, they also will likely to be doing the same things. So, try to set that kind of environment at home, so you can, set a good example to your kids and the other family members.
So these tips actually, even I feel these are really interesting, right? So to try out. So I have one last question. So are there any specific foods that we need to avoid in order to, maintain a healthy dietary practice during our busy working schedules?
Yeah, definitely. So I already spoke about the nutrients we need to be including for a healthy diet and lifestyle. There are certain foods we need to completely keep away from our diet and also the kids' diet. So one would be, packaged foods. Packaged foods, like, as you all know, these all that comes in a packet, like, Lay's, chips, all kind of cookies, all these things, laden with unhealthy fats, sugar. Okay, they're normally high in salt as well. So they have trans fats. So, all these things are very dangerous for health, and the long term will really lead to a lot of metabolic disorders like diabetes, obesity, all this. And also, even in short term, it leads to attention deficit, poor concentration in classes in school, less memory power. So, all this will immediately also give an effect. So that's one. Also, sugary drinks. So often we see many kids like those drinks that come in boxes. Though they say they are fruit juice, so there's very less fruit content. There's more amount of sugar. So it's very sweet also, and the kids end up liking that a lot. So sugar, what happens is that sugar leads to an immediate rise in your blood sugar levels, and it gives an immediate crash as well. So that immediate crash will again leave you craving for more sugar. So that's when these ready-to-eat desserts, sweet foods, candies, lollipops. So too much of this, again will lead this immediate spike in blood sugar levels, and again drop. So the drop will leave you craving for more and more sweets. It's like a vicious cycle. So sugar needs to be avoided. Okay, so in a very evident form like candies and sweets, and even other processed packaged foods, it is there if you look at the ingredients behind. It's very important we as parents look into ingredients of the food before we buy purchase foods. because now most of the foods come in packets, so we can easily check the ingredients behind and get these foods. Also, artificial sweeteners. So they have 100 times the sweetness of sugar, 100 or even more times the sweetness of sugar. So though sometimes the food might claim no sugar added, but if you look behind, that all comes on the education of the parent. When you look behind and see there are artificial sweetness, we need to be educated on what these sweeteners are. Are they there? How to identify them in the nutrient list? So a little bit of education on our part as well to understand what is good and what is not is very effective. Another thing is, high sodium foods. Though maybe we're not eating very salty foods, but unknowingly there's a lot of salt in many of the foods we are consuming. Like especially foods that come in tins. This tinned chickpeas, a tinned pineapple. The if you look behind, there's a lot of there's salt added in that. So there's a lot of salt already added. So many of the things we can easily do at home, instead of being dependent on these packaged things. So when we are able to do things on our own, let's try to adopt those kind of measures. We can see how it's prepared and believe for ourselves what is added in the food, rather than food that come in a packet or a tin wherein we don't even know what is being added. Also, one more important thing for parents, especially, is alcohol and caffeine in excess. So, as comfort foods, like I mentioned earlier, the working stressed parents, they normally, they depend on these kind of things like excess alcohol as their comfort food. So, it as a stress buster. So this is dangerous. Alcohol especially will lead to liver diseases, okay, many other problems, health problems. Caffeine, we feel coffee is nothing much, but again, caffeine in excess will lead to a lot of problems, cognitive difficulties, and actually it will lead to increase in fat in the body, increase in stress in the body, though maybe temporarily it leads to a reduction in your stress levels when you're having that cup of coffee. So I'm not saying don't drink coffee at all, but everything has to be done in moderation. So caffeine in excess also is not safe and is dangerous actually.
Right. So when it goes excess, it goes into a vicious cycle, right? Because it keeps on
Yes,
repeating it.
yes. So basically, when you're drinking in excess, you will crave more for it, and again, it'll end up drinking more and more. So that's the issue with these things. They're very addictive. Alcohol the same, even caffeine.
Okay. So you mentioned about the foods that needs to be avoided. So are there any healthier substitute for foods like sugar, caffeine, or alcohol?
Yeah, definitely. So definitely, you can substitute if you make a conscious effort. You can easily avoid these kind of foods. Maybe not easy, maybe with some conscious effort. Like for example, now if you're talking about sweet craving, we all have a sweet craving. We all crave for sweets. One very important way of reducing the sweet craving is to drink adequate amount of water. Okay, so most of us, we are working in a AC environment. We end up drinking less water. So we are we crave for sweets more and more. But if you just take heed and increase your hydration, increase your water intake, you will see that the sweet craving is reduced by even half or even more.
Oh,
So, and also having more balanced meals. So when you're eating, this is applicable even for kids. When you're eating balanced meals, more amount of protein and fiber, and not too much of carbs, not too much of rice, then the sugar spike is not too high.
mhm.
So when the sugar spike is high, this like that the sugar crash is also very low. That's when you have a sweet craving. So when you don't spike it up so high, when you're eating a moderate amount of carbs and keeping yourself full with more amount of fiber and protein, then the spike is not so high. And also, this goes into a very balanced form. So you don't feel that, if sleepy, then the sweet craving as well. For alcohol, caffeine, again, same thing works. Water intake works. But if you're really addicted, there are ways that you can de-addict yourself by using, simple ways like chewing gum. There's some strips that are available nowadays. But for caffeine, I think this water intake works well and having snacks in between. So generally, what working parents do is that what I have seen is that they substitute caffeine or black coffee for even their regular meals. They're not eating anything very much throughout the day. They're just having maybe 10 cups of coffee. So whenever they're hungry, they pick up some coffee and they have. So I think structuring meals around the proper times and having meals at regular times will really help you avoid this so much of caffeine consumption.
Okay. So I think these are really helpful tips, where you can substitute or replace these unhealthy foods, I think, right? Okay, so thank you, Fisa, for highlighting how food choices influences our physical and mental health for busy working parents. So I'm pretty sure our audience would definitely be using the tips you've given. And it was really nice learning from your expertise. Thank you so much.
It is great connecting.
Kring, fulfilling parenting dreams.